Hello, this is the 23rd issue of Catch of the Day, available on the Branch Talk YouTube channel. Once again, we're reading from Doug Mitchell's book, Holy Cow, Holy Dung, based on Numbers 19 and Ezekiel 4, starting at the very bottom of page 17. We read, "The day Christ was the wave sheaf." The next point we are going to review in the matter of the wave sheaf offering that was to take place during the Passover season. Of this, Ellen White says, Christ arose from the dead as the first fruits of those that slept. He was the antitype of the wave sheaf, and his resurrection took place on the very day when the wave sheaf was to be presented before the Lord. Desire of Ages 786. On the 14th day of the month at even, the Passover was celebrated. The Passover was followed by the 7 days feast of unleavened bread. The first and the seventh day were days of holy convocation, when no servile work was to be performed. On the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest were presented before God. Barley was the earliest grain in Palestine, and at the opening of the feast it was beginning to ripen. A sheaf of this grain was waved by the priest before the altar of God, as an acknowledgement that all was his. Not until this ceremony had been performed was the harvest to be gathered. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 539. We know from the scriptures that Christ rose early on the first day of the week, Sunday. Now when Jesus was risen early, the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils. Mark 16:9. Speaking of the days Christ died and was resurrected, Ellen White says, on the 6th day, Friday, of the week, they had seen their master die. On the first day, Sunday, of the week, they found themselves deprived of his body, for he had risen, and they were accused of having stolen it away, for the sake of deceiving the people. Desire of Ages, page 794, brackets added. Thus we see that Ellen White correctly taught that Christ died on the 6th day, Friday, and rose on the first day of the week, Sunday. But the problem arises from her statement that he was the antitype of the wave sheaf, and his resurrection took place on the very day when the wave sheaf was to be presented before the Lord. The problem is not in this statement by itself, but comes when this statement is taken in conjunction with this one. On the second day of the feast, the first fruits of the year's harvest were presented before God. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 539. That is, she correctly states in many places that Christ ate the Passover with his disciples before he was captured and crucified. That day would have had to be the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is called the Passover, as that is when the Passover was to be eaten. But if he was to be resurrected on the second day of the feast, as the antitype of the wave sheaf, that would have had to have been on the day immediately following the Passover, the first day of the feast. But according to the Bible and Ellen White's own testimony, he was crucified on Friday, in the tomb on the day following his crucifixion, which was the 7th day Sabbath, and resurrected on the day after that Sunday. So if he ate the Passover on the first day of the feast, Then after he died on the cross and was buried before sunset on the day he died, and was in the tomb on the Sabbath following his crucifixion, then it would not be correct to say that he was resurrected on the second day of the feast, as the antitype of the wave sheaf. For there was a day, the Sabbath, Saturday, in between the day he died, Friday, and the day he was resurrected, Sunday. Thus Sunday could not have been the second day of the feast. So how are we to understand these discrepancies? When we take into consideration that the timing of the events during the final week of Christ's Passion has been one of the most controverted matters in the Christian community, we should not be surprised that Ellen White and her contemporaries were caught up in it. This is especially true considering that she never said that she received any specific light on the actual dates, and her brethren at the time held diverse opinions on the dates. As we shall see, she was just expressing an opinion which was common among her peers, and the circumstance falls within the phenomena earlier noted. Take care. Have a good day.